Dokkan just dropped a nuclear bomb, and his name is Android 16. How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video. In today's video, we have the EZA details for the Phy Lr Androids 16, 17, and 18 who exchanged into a standalone Android 16. This is one of the yellow coin LR EZAs that I think many of us have been looking forward to and just hoping they are really good. With such a restrictive active skill and exchange mechanic, it was bound that people would get their expectations high. So hopefully they met those expectations. So let's go ahead, let's hop in, let's take a look at the translations. Shout out to the Dokkan Wiki for getting these out as quickly as they could. Always on top of it. Thanks, guys. So they are now Androids category key for HP attack and defense 170%. Now this is interesting because this is a yellow coin LR EZA. One of the, I think they're the second 150 EZA we've gotten, and they have pretty much bumped them up to 170 on the leader skill. So it's really good. They offer a, we are now in the era of yellow coin LRs offering 170 leader skills. So this gives hope for some other leader skills down the road. He's also given extreme fizz 100%. HP attack and defense, so that is pretty standard on the right monotyping side. For their super attack effect, they are now raising attack and defense for 1 turn, causing colossal damage to the enemy, and lowering attack and defense. On their ultra super, they are raising attack and defense for 1 turn, causing mega colossal damage to the enemy, and greatly lowering attack and defense. So right, for those early phases of some fights, that's going to be very helpful. And again, this is in their 16, 17, and 18 form. On their passive, now they are gaining key 3 attack defense 178% plus an additional attack defense 78% when performing a super attack. They have a medium chance of evading enemies attack. They get key 3 and a chance of evading enemies attack 20% when HP is 66% or more. They get an additional defense 35% within the same turn, and launch an additional attack that has a 50% chance of becoming a super attack for 3 turns after evading an attack. They also give androids category allies 50% support. Very nice. I love this. This is exactly what I was hoping for them, was to pick up that 50% support. Give them something while they're in their base form. And to add on to that, right, 50% evasion, I mean, it's not the greatest. I kind of dislike a high chance to evade. Like, if you're going to give it a unit evade, just make it a great chance. 50% is too much of a coin flip for me. However, it's still not bad. It's still better than it was before, right? So as long as you can keep that HP up, they're looking pretty good, and their defense is honestly not going to be looking that bad either, based on what I'm seeing here. We'll take a look at the calcs here in a second. Thanks to Halvard and Luke, we have the attack and defense calc. So once we review the 16, we'll take a look at that. So you can change them into 16 after it is an active skill transformation, so I don't think it changes. So we're gonna have the same exchange mechanic as before, which is basically 66% or less with 2 or more androids allies on the team, or when facing an enemy who includes Cell. So that's pretty much not going to be changed because they can't change active skill transformations or exchanges. So meaning he is definitely going to be the same on that regard. So in terms of what he's doing now, he is now greatly raising attack and defense for 1 turn, causing colossal damage and lowering the attack and defense. Now realistically, when you get this guy out, you're probably not going to be able to lower attack and defense anymore, but you know, it's still there. He also greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn and causes mega colossal damage while sacrificing 6% HP to his ultra super. So I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad when you consider how much extra attack he's getting, right? On his passive, he's got a key 8 and he's got 240% attack and defense. That is insane. With an additional 160, right? So 400% attack and defense when performing a super attack. That is ridiculous. And I'm going to show you how ridiculous here in a second. They also have a 50% chance of performing a critical hit when in the 16 form. It also performs a critical hit when 60% or less, right? Which you're probably going to be when you exchange. So you've got that 66%. Or when there's an enemy who includes Cell. They launch an additional super attack when there is an Android's Cell Saga category enemy, or all allies in the same turn are androids. So he's going to work pretty much on an androids team or when facing cells, right? Which is kind of how he was before, but now he's 10 times better, right? Like, this dude is insane. And just kind of see what I'm talking about here, right? On a 200% lead, right? These guys are looking astonishing, actually, right? Start of turn defense is not much to write home about, but I mean, it's on average with most other characters. But if they get the post double super, you're talking 700 without support, which is pretty good. That's tanking most normals. But once they proc that evasion, which is a 50% chance, they're now over 1 million defense. On a 40% support, which you're probably running support anyways, you've got another 200k defense, which puts them over 1.2 million, which is kind of insane. It's really, really good, right? So once they evade that first attack, right, after their second super, they are looking pretty darn good. Once they exchange is when he gets really crazy, though. Upon exchange, right, and this is only for 3 turns, defense on the 16 on a 200% without support, 1.6 mil with 1 additional super, right? That's insane. 1.6 mil is insane, and he's already got the high defense, the high attack, and now we're talking about 1.6 mil is that high defense. On a full Androids team, he's looking at 2 mil when he launches that additional attack, and then with a 40% support, he's 2.2 mil. Like, that is insane. It's not the highest defense we have, but it's pretty darn high for an EZA. I think Piccolo Jr. tops him if he gets all of his supers, right? I think Piccolo Jr. is just under 3 mil with all of his supers, all right? Like, we're talking Piccolo Jr. levels of defense here, and we all know how crazy he is. I mean, this is pretty good. And that's just the defense. So shout out to Halvard for calculating that out. But thanks to Luke, we can also get an idea of what his attack is going to look like, right? When in their base form was Bulma support, nothing to write home about, which they weren't really in attackers. They're meant as floating support, dodge tanks, right? But once they get into the 16 form, right? 16 on linked with his best partner, which is the Fizz 17. We'll show you a few other partners here in a second, but linked with Fizz 17 on a full Androids team with Bulma or full Androids rotation with Bulma support, 11 million attack. That is pretty darn good. This dude is a nuke, right? Like, that's not even factoring in super versus extreme. That's not in factoring in his crit. That's not factoring in anything else, right? So, like, just his raw attack stat, 11 mil. Factor everything else in, right? You're going to be seeing, like, pretty close to 23 mil on him, honestly, right? Once you factor in, like, type advantage or crit, like, dude's hitting like a megaton bomb, and I mean, that's good. That's what you want. The dude is only out on the field for 2 turns. Hitting as hard as he is hitting is exactly what he needed to be. So I'm really, really happy with this EZA. The only downside I see to them is probably the leaders, right? On global, he only has access to 2 200% teams, and that is the SDR 17 and 17 and AGL Cell, both of which, while not the worst, do leave a lot to be desired in terms of team building, right? So, I mean, honestly, you're probably better off running this guy on a 170 under the Android 21, but hey, we'll probably showcase him off on this team anyways, just because I happen to actually like the Android 17 and 17. In terms of link partners that are going to help him get there, right, Fizz 17 is probably the best choice, but I mean, if you're running a full Androids team, right, linking him here with this guy, this guy, we know how good he is, right? So that's going to be very, very helpful. That's the wrong one. That's not the free-to-play one. No, the free-to-play 16 would be a good partner for him to cover slot 1 until he's up there, right? Another good partner for them, this doesn't show anymore, does it? Okay. Another good partner for them is actually the 21, sharing, they do share 2 links with the 21. So, right, having 21 float 3rd slot to help heal while he's in the 2nd slot, have 17 in the 1st slot, like, you're talking at about a pretty good rotation, especially if 17's damage reduction is procced up, right? Like, that's going to be a very powerful rotation, and 21 finishing up with the heal at the end is going to just, it's really going to be a pretty awesome team. I can't wait to test this guy out. I can't wait to test the 16 out. I can't wait to test out them specifically on 21's team, because I think that's kind of the best version of the Androids team right now, honestly. 17 and 17 kind of need a lot of extra help. Same with AGL Cell at this point. So kind of curious to see how he performs on that 170 lead. So guys, that is the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let me know, what are your thoughts on this LR EZA? Did they knock it out of the park or what? Honestly, I'm loving what they did here. I'm thinking they are definitely stepping up their notch with these yellow coin LR EZAs, and I can't wait to test them in game here in just a couple of days. So that's it for the video, guys. If nothing else, thanks for watching, and aloha.